there's a report out today from the Committee for Economic Development of Australia, and it actually shows fewer Australians are starting a business, and those that do are also hiring fewer people. So I want to go to Melinda Salento, who's the Chief Executive of CEDA. Good morning.
Good morning, Nadia. How are you?
Good. So that drop in business startups, how big is it? How significant is it?
Well, it's significant. It's significant for a couple of reasons. I mean, to start with why this is so important. I mean, obviously, new businesses setting up and starting in Australia, important source of innovation, dynamism, creating new products and services, hiring new people. So the fact that we're seeing a trend decline is really significant. And the second reason it's so important, of course, is because of the magnitude of the decline that you spoke to. So we've seen the proportion of business owners in the workforce dropping to the lowest level we've seen in 2 decades, and the rate of growth of businesses that are employing people starting up is also at a 2-decade low.
So you've got fewer businesses starting up and they're not hiring as many people.
Yeah, we've seen growth, continued growth in sole ownerships, if you like, of people setting up their own business just for themselves. And this is, of course, people looking to earn a second income, being enabled to do things through digital platform work and or what we kind of call side hustles. So that's continuing to grow, although as a share of the total workforce, we've seen that fall.
When you talk about side hustles, what are you talking about there?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's a term we've kind of we've sort of picked up on more in the broader community. The greatest proportion of side hustles are people in retail, so selling and buying either new goods or second-hand goods, and that's in person or online. And then the second most often sort of adopted side hustle is content creation. As my kids would describe them, influencers. But to put that into perspective, people who have got these side hustles on average are earning less than $10,000 a year. So they're not the sort of dynamic business opportunities that we might hope, although some of them obviously do end up taking off.
And what sort of difference does that side hustle make? It feels like it's just sort of topping up the income. How significant is that extra money?
Yeah, well, I mean, in this current environment, no one's going to sneeze at $10,000, of course, if that's what you're able to sort of earn. But that's the sort of median, and of course, there's people who'd be earning a lot less than that. So that's sort of how we're sort of seeing the side hustle activity grow. But really, our focus is on why is it that we're starting to see such a sustained trend decline in people who want to set up a business, and one that they've got a real ambition to grow and to hire people and to see that sort of become a really significant source of income for them.
What are the barriers? Why?
Yeah, well, we think there's quite a few things at play. I mean, anyone who's talking to business, big or small, is going to hear a lot about the burden of regulation at the moment. And I'm not trying to say that all regulation is bad for a small business trying to start up. Having that clarity is important, but we've just seen, a continual ratcheting up in both the number of regulations that apply, but also how prescriptive, regulators are becoming in terms of how you comply with those regulations. So it's one thing to sort of say, this is what you can and can't do, but there's a lot of prescription in the regulations around how you actually have to respond to it, and that compliance cost. I mean, honestly, small businesses and entrepreneurial startups want to be doing something else with their time.
And is that the biggest issue, those compliance issues?
Look, that's one of them. The other thing, of course, is access to finance and insurance. We know insurance costs are growing. On the finance side, I think as your previous caller was sort of talking about, a lot of businesses starting up will, need to borrow against their home, as home affordability and home ownership as home affordability is impacting home ownership. Like, how is that playing into the finance piece? We've got to make sure that we've really got all of the channels available for people to tap into the financing to support their businesses. And I guess, we've got the budget coming up, the federal budget coming up, and it's important to acknowledge that there are plenty of opportunities and grants available for businesses that are wanting to set up, but they don't seem to have really moved the dial. And so it's a good opportunity, I think, to go back and review the government supports and make sure that they're actually having the desired effect. And if not, how can we simplify them, and how can we make them easier for business to take up in a way that's going to, change their efforts.
And finally, Melinda Salento is my guest this morning, the Chief Executive of the Committee for Economic Development of Australia. Are there certain businesses where you've seen declines, particularly higher declines than others?
Well, I think it's a really good question, actually. And when we looked at across all sectors, and when we looked at business owners by age, so some people might say, well, this is just population ageing and older business owners dropping out. That's not the case, actually. And so we're seeing this trend across virtually every sector. And I think the only one where we've seen a pickup in businesses that are employing people is in healthcare. And given the growth in that sector, perhaps that's not surprising. But I think this is really a structural issue, and it's impacting across the country and across all sectors.
Okay, I'll leave it there. Melinda Salento, good to talk to you this morning.